Goldman Sachs is raising some questions about the tech sector today. The firm says the valuation for growth stocks is high, and if so, what could that mean for the overall market? Joining us to talk about that is Paul Meeks. He is the lead portfolio manager for the Wireless Fund. Welcome, Paul. Nice to have you here.
Thanks, Sue.
Goldman Sachs made some pretty compelling arguments, but you think they've taken it a little bit too far. You're not as bearish on that particular sector of the market. Why?
Now, I'm value sensitive. I typically only buy stocks when they've really come down a lot and they're still embracing my long-term themes. I think Goldman's call today was far too broad because when you take a look at the tech sector, it's actually made up of a number of component industries. And there are a couple of industries, such as semiconductors, that looked actually quite cheap to me because they're the ones that have been beaten up the most by the ban on Huawei and also the continuing trade and tariff battles with China and the U.S.
Well, that's an issue that needs to be addressed. I mean, fundamentally, you may find some of these high-profile technology companies aren't cheap, but they face some very big political headwinds in Washington when we talk about the antitrust investigations that are going on that go after some of the big FANG stocks right now, right?
That's true. It'll be interesting to see what happens with these ongoing investigations, the FTC and the Department of Justice, with at least 4 of the major tech companies and both of the major social media companies. But the way I look at this is particularly the FTC investigation. This is something that's been going on for a long time. I don't think that is new news. As it pertains to the Department of Justice, something more new, something more interesting, something that we have to be wary of. But I also think it's a lot of pressure going into the presidential election in the next couple of years, where all of both sides of the aisle are interested in showing their strength versus these companies. I don't want to say it's much to do about nothing, but I do think once we get through with this, there won't be that many changes and far less consequential than some people think right now.
So given the broad swath that we've talked about here, where are you still finding compelling value in the tech sector?
So, Sue, what I've done is I do think you need to play some defense in the near term. And so I have a little bit higher cash than usual. And I've been hiding in a couple of, I call them techish names that are more secure and stable. And these are companies like the payment processors, MasterCard, Visa, PayPal, even bought some Disney recently with its video streaming entree, and trying to stay away from some of the big cyclical companies, particularly those that are tied up in the geopolitical mess.
On that note, Paul, thank you so much. Paul Meeks with the Wireless Fund.